Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kayce, and in today's video it is going to be part 2, following up on my last video. So in my last video we created this little hiking trail and walkway, and today what we're going to be working on is decorating the waterfalls of the little lookout area right in front of it. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and start up the Island Designer app and get to decorating. So there is this little area that I forgot to connect of the land below the waterfall. So I am just going to go ahead and connect that and then fill in that flower. And then what I'm going to do is just take a look at the waterscaping I have so far and place a decoy duck down. I don't know why I did that, maybe just to remind myself that I wanted to put it there. But right now I'm just going around and cleaning up the weeds. I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I absolutely cannot stand how weeds look on my island personally. I don't know why, but it just kind of like drives me crazy. So if you ever see me running off and just grabbing a weed, that's why. I just can't stand to look at them. But now what I'm doing is just going around and adding in some flowers. Flowers are some of my favorite things to decorate cliffs with, so you'll see me doing that for the next couple minutes of this video, and then kind of just going around and adjusting some of the terraforming so I can place in some filler coats. I also just want to say, if my voice sounds a little bit different in this video, it is because yesterday was my dad's birthday and we went to Six Flags, and so we went on a bunch of different roller coasters and I definitely screamed a lot. So I don't think I'm sick or anything, it just may have lost my voice a little bit. So I just wanted to put that in there before I get too deep into the video and have some people wondering what the heck happened to my voice. Also, happy birthday, Dad, if you're watching. I love you. So I know I for sure want to have a little camping area right in front of these waterfalls right here. So I am just going in and laying down a blanket coat that I like right in front. And then I will be placing in some flowers and then putting down the kids' tent. I just think it's cute to have like a little campsite right in front of the waterfalls. That's somewhere that I would love to go in real life. And then because I have so many flowers in this area, I decided to place down a little watering can on top of a Zen cushion. So if anybody comes and visits this little area, they can feel free to water all of my flowers. Now what I'm doing is just going in and terraforming some of the cliffs. I am extending it a little bit because I do want to be able to have some trees on that second and third levels of this little waterscaping area. I did go ahead and terraform out the land behind this big cliff. I took that out of the video just because it was me kind of doing terraforming, and I don't think anybody wants to watch like 3 minutes of just straight terraforming. So anyways, I am back on top of this cliff trying to figure out my tree placements. Like I've mentioned before, I like to be able to have my trees kind of staggered so they're not all in one line. So that is just what I'm doing right now. I did decide that I wanted to use a peach tree instead of a regular hardwood tree. I like the fruit trees in moderation because it can add some nice color to your cliffs. So that's why I went ahead and placed down that peach tree right there. I feel like sometimes I forget there are fruit trees, so that's just another tip. If you are looking at your cliffs and you feel like they kind of look a bit boring, definitely go ahead and add in a couple fruit trees, and that will liven up the area in terms of color. Right here, I am just trying to decide what type of codes I want to put down. I wind up going with this yellow lemon rug. I will be eventually placing a mush parasol on top of it. So I am just laying that down. I think I was going to actually try and put the designs down from the Custom Designs app, but I decided not to do that because every time I try and do it that way, it just turns out completely wrong. So I decided just to place it down myself. Right here, I am just going in and making sure my flowers are staggered as well, kind of like how I staggered my trees. I like to be able to place items or bushes or fencing in between my flowers. I just feel like that gives the area a lot of dimension, so that's why they're not all in like a straight line. I just like the look of them being staggered right next to the trees. And now I'm just trying to decorate this side of the cliff with some flowers and different items. In this part of the build, I am kind of running low on items, so it's a little bit of a struggle to try and take what I have left in my pockets and make it look good, but I think I do make it look decent. And after I placed down this fencing, I realized that I am stuck. I have no way to get down off this cliff because I do need to go back to storage. So I wind up having to take down that flower and that piece of fence. And then I did go back to storage and get some more items and get some more flowers because I was running out of items and I didn't want to have this looked kind of half done. So now that I have my pockets refilled, I will just be going around trying to extend some of the new items to decorate the rest of this cliff top with. Some more room to decorate and to ensure that I don't get stuck up here again. So right here, I wanted to go ahead and place down a wind turbine, so that's why I am just going in and filling in those waterfalls right here. I wouldn't have had enough room if I placed it because I would have needed to turn it around and there just wasn't enough room up here. So that is why I filled those in really quickly so I can go ahead and place down that wind turbine, and then I filled up this little edge so I could go back in, plant that Cosmo, and then round the edge of this waterfall right here. So I like to make sure every area on my cliff tops are filled in, so that's why I'm taking the time and placing items behind the trees and behind the flowers. You may not necessarily see them all, but if you're walking, let's say, behind this area or next to it, you will be able to see those little details. And plus, I just really like decorating cliff tops, so that's also why I spend quite a lot of time decorating areas that some people may never wind up seeing, but at least I know that it is completely decorated. So right now I am just planting the last couple flowers for this area. I switched out that white tulip for an orange rose because I didn't like the two white tulips next to each other, and I'm just making sure that this little space behind the windmill is filled in nicely. And then what I'm going to do is go back around to my little overlook area on the hiking trail to make sure that everything looks all right so far. I would hate to have decorated this area completely and things just look completely off. So that's just another tip. If you're doing a bigger build like this where you have a lookout area, I would definitely recommend checking your view to make sure that you have it how you want it. So I think the size of this cliff is how I want it, but I just want to go ahead and go around the cliff and round out the edges so that there's no straight edges. I've seen the straight corners of cliffs look good on certain people's islands, but I just personally prefer the look of rounded cliff edges. Just looks more, I don't know if I would say natural, because I don't think that nature is, 100% perfectly smooth, but maybe it just is a personal preference of mine where I like to have all of the edges of my cliffs smooth out. And then right here, I am just adding in some more flowers in between these waterfalls, and I will finish decorating the area right next to this hardwood tree. So I found this really adorable squirrel code, and it's just perfect when you place it in the right spot. So I'm just placing it down, and then I'm also going ahead and placing down this pretty little strawberry code, because if you look at the squirrel, it has like a little berry in its mouth. So I like to place the strawberry code kind of like diagonally next to it, so it looks like it's going to get some more berries. I just think that code is so adorable, and the strawberry code is so perfect next to it. And right here, I decided that I wanted to make kind of like a little mini gardening area, so I am just gonna go ahead and place down a tin bucket and then lay down some more custom patterns. And then I believe that I will be putting in like a little garden faucet too in this area. So let's say you're visiting this area and you start to walk up on these cliff tops, you can go ahead and get some water to refill your watering can down below with. I don't know, that's just how I like to imagine my builds. I like them to be kind of interactive, if you want to call it that. Right here, I am just extending out this cliff a little bit more because I do want to be able to have that waterfall that's in front of the wind turbine to be able to connect down to this second level. So I needed to extend out the cliff a little more in order to be able to connect it like I just did right there to the first level. And then because I did go ahead and extend this cliff down here, I wanted to be able to round out the edges behind the wind turbine. But with terraforming, if you want to make the next cliff level larger or to expand it, you have to make the bottom one larger. So I do end up making this area a little bit larger than I first had planned. But I, of course, just restarted this island, I want to say maybe a couple weeks ago now. So I do have a lot of space to work with, so it's okay for me to spend a little bit more time on the builds that I'm making and extending the cliffs a little bit more because I have so much room to work with still. right here, I am just going in and taking down some of the cliff from the back. I don't need this back area to be as wide because nobody is really going to be seeing too much of it. So I just went and took down some of the cliffs over there, and now I'm just going to start decorating the side of this cliff. So I had originally planned on keeping the side of this cliff a little bit larger, but at this point in the build, I was kind of running out of ideas of what I could put on the edges of the cliff because I already had decorated with so much on the next level that I just decided to tear down this little side right here and only make it one wide. And also, did you see Freckles just like sitting against the wall? Like, I don't understand what goes through her mind sometimes. But anyways, right now I am just coming back over to check out the view. I want to be able to have a couple different viewing spots. This little area right here is my favorite one so far. So I think I have all of the cliffs decorated how I like it, and now what I just have to do is go in and fill out this little area in front of the cliffs, and I do have some ideas in mind. I want there to be a little path in front of the kids' tent, and then I will just be filling it in with flowers and more items. And I really like this ladder standee code, so I placed that behind the tree to kind of show people if you visit in a dream or anything that you should use your ladder and, you know, just explore the cliffs a little bit. And then right here I am just laying down this dirt pathing. I like to have my paths look very windy and curvy, so I believe I mentioned this in my speed build for Daisy's yard, where I don't like to have two of the same pieces next to each other when I'm making a path. So I will go and do kind of like the outline I have in mind of the path first and then fill it in with all of the center pieces after that. I just want to say, watch Freckles try and catch that bug, and did you see that little reaction she made? It's so cute whenever your villagers try and catch a bug, but the bug gets away. They do that. I think it's called the mistaken reaction, where the star fragment falls on top of their head. I think it's just the cutest thing. If you didn't catch it, just rewind a couple seconds and just watch her reaction because she is so adorable. So now I am just going in and filling the centerpieces in and finishing up this little bit of the path, and then I will be going back in and decorating with flowers and items on each side of the path. Part of the reason why I like to have my paths kind of curvy and windy and thinner is because I do like to decorate on each side of it with items or butterfly models and flowers. I did end up having to go back to storage and get more items and flowers. I used a lot of different items on this area, but it is such a huge build that it is kind of to be expected. So now I'm just kind of deciding what I want to put here. I decided the little succulent plant on top of the wooden stool looked cute, and then I will just be going in and figuring out where I like to have my flowers. I do like to do that before I add in items sometimes, just so I can figure out the spacing of everything. And in this area right here, I end up choosing to place down the Bunny Day planter box. I just think it's so cute how it looks kind of peeking out from behind the tree. I know another item you can do that with is the garden wagon if you want to kind of hide the handles a little bit. So that's just another little tip, I guess if you want to call it, is you can use bigger items and use a tree to hide them just so they're peeking out a little bit, like that Bunny Day planter boxes. I knew I wanted to use that mountain bike somewhere in this build, but I wasn't quite sure where to put it. So I ended up removing it from that little spot and putting a little stunted tree down, and then going ahead and placing the mountain bike right next to the ladder behind the tree. I just feel like that's something that you would see in real life. If you're on a hiking trail, you know, some people will put their bikes kind of hidden between the flowers and behind the trees. So I really liked how that ended up looking right there. And now I am just filling in the spaces in between the items with some butterfly models. And then I need to go ahead and decorate right below this cliff edge. These are the areas that I definitely struggle with the most, but items like this garden wagon are very helpful because they do take up some space, and I decided to use that little stunted tree. I did have enough room in order to keep that tree stunted, but I did notice that I didn't like having the two stunted hardwood trees so close to each other, so that's why I just took out that other one and replaced it with a large cedar tree. I don't like to have too many of the same type of trees right next to each other, so that is why I just replaced that one. And now what I'm doing is just trying to decide what umbrella code I want to use. I found these really pretty codes that are bushes, so I really like that blueberry bush code. So now I'm just filling in around the code with some flowers. So right here I am just placing an anthurium plant down. I believe that's how it's pronounced. If it's not, then please forgive me. I really like this pink version of the plant, but I don't like that it's next to a pink flower, so I am just going in and swapping out that flower for a yellow one. I feel like that looks a bit nicer than having too much of the same color in one area. So now what I'm doing is realizing that I have some more room to work with right here. So I'm just adding in another stunted tree. Of course, my pockets were full because I'm getting so close to the end of this build. I think I wound up changing a few too many things, so I wound up with more items in my pockets, but I'm really pleased with how it's coming together so far. So all that's left is to make a little seating area right here. So I decided to go with a little log bench, and I want to use a picnic basket on top of it, so kind of like people came here to just kind of hang out and have a little picnic right in front of the waterfalls. I also just wanted to say that this heart-shaped bouquet placed backwards looks really pretty. I feel like when you use it like facing straight towards you, it kind of can be a bit much, but I really like the little bow detail on the back of it. It's just really cute. So I will have those all over my island, just facing the wrong way. So I'm just planting in those last little flowers and then making sure that everything is how I like it, and then I will give you guys one final walkthrough. So if you stayed this long in the video, I really hope you guys like the finished product of this area. I am really pleased with how it ended up turning out. So I decided to start at the front of the hiking trail just so you can kind of get the full experience of this area. I had such a fun time working on this, and like I mentioned, if you stayed through and watched this whole video, I really appreciate it. Your support means so much to me. I was just looking at my subscribers the other day, and we're so close to 100 subscribers, and I'm just so grateful and appreciative for each and every one of you. And thank you so much for putting up with my kind of raspy voice throughout this video. I really wanted to get this video out, so I apologize about my voice. But if you enjoy content like this and want to see more of it, please subscribe and leave a like on the video. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye!